let's talk briefly about a couple of questions that came up in the comments. Firstly, pertaining to Charlie Austin, who has signed for QPR. Well, I say signed for QPR. He was on loan from QPR from, I think, January, sort of mid-January. I remember him scoring like sort of half an hour into his first game at Luton. And Austin has now signed full-time for QPR. Remember, Austin had been a great player for QPR years back and scored really well in the Premier League. He'd had that move to West Brom where we know he was on good money, but he never quite got into the Bilic first 11. And that West Brom team's promotion was on the back of Dean Garner and Pereira, really, the players off the front. And it was a bit of a white elephant, wasn't he, Austin, on a high wage. In he went to QPR mid-season. And if you look, there's a real upturn. And I know this is cause and effect, and we can't, necessarily join all the dots, and 2 and 2 together sometimes makes 7, doesn't it? But when he and Steph Johansson picked up and QPR went to the 3 at the back in December, they were one of the better teams, weren't they, in the entire division. So you would suggest it was pretty important for QPR to get Charlie Austin in the building. We'll see. They've got De Vries, haven't they? We'll see if they can get Steph Johansson as well. Look, Austin is not going to play for QPR for the next 10 years. We know where he is in his career. He's not going to outrun defenders. He's probably going to be substituted off in a lot of games. But what we always say about Charlie Austin is if you create big chances for him, he will score them. And they've got a project there, QPR as well, Lyndon Dykes, who I think is playing for Scotland tonight, isn't he? Who they spent a bit of money on. And I'm sure having someone like Charlie Austin around Lyndon Dykes is a good thing, isn't it? So I would suggest, and feel free to comment on it, I would suggest Charlie Austin to QPR is in the no-brainer bracket of signings. Obviously, the devil's in the detail. Unless anyone can show me his contract, we would be expecting that he's taken quite the pay cut. We heard rumours of a very big salary at West Brom. So assuming the deal is right, it can only be a good deal for QPR. And let's be fair, QPR, if they continue the level of performance, or certainly the level of output in terms of points they had from Austin and Johansson's arrival in January through to the end of the season, then they will not be finishing in the middle of the table. They will be finishing and challenging next season. That may or may not happen, but it's very simple maths. If they can reproduce that second half of the season, they could be a dark horse, first dark horse mentioned for the Championship next season, before the transfer windows even properly open again. That is my thoughts on Charlie Austin. So get your comments in. 2 or 3 more to follow, according to Warburton. It'll be interesting, won't it? Because QPR traditionally have had to sell since the parachute payments finished. When did they get relegated? I think they were one of the last of the 4-year parachute payments. Obviously, Eze went out. It's done brilliantly for Palace this season as well. So you do wonder whether there is a Rob Dickey or a Ilias Chair going out at some point. So, we will see. Sam said in his signing interview he had a lower salary at QPR in a polite but explicit way. There you go. Johansson is absolutely vital. There we go. That is my thoughts on Charlie Austin to QPR.